Welcome to Body, Mind, Spirit with me. I'm Jane. And you are going to be watching this while I am in Costa Rica. I am so excited. So I will miss seeing everyone at the hub. And so I'm pre-recording this, so I appreciate you even taking the time and checking this out. Probably not going to be the whole hour. And I am going to encourage you to still leave comments wherever you watch this, just so that I can go back and read them and connect because I like it. So this is Body, Mind, Spirit, right? And kind of thinking about that, I wanted to talk about Costa Rica because I'm noticing that there's this like really interesting thing that's happening in my body with this like I'm gonna go do a thing. So I've never been to Costa Rica. I've been to South America and I've been to Central America, but on the north side when I went to Mexico. So Costa Rica is really new for me, and I didn't know certain things about it. Like, you can take Costa Rica and Costa Rica fits in North Carolina with like all this room to spare. It's like maybe it's probably like a little bit more than a third of the size of North Carolina. And because the roads are as they are there, it takes 3 hours to go maybe what would take us an hour on an interstate. So I'm really excited to like experience new territory. I need tea. So, I just thought about, I hope you all can hear me okay. I feel like you can. Okay, final answer. So, I know that I'm going to have a lot more to say when I get back from Costa Rica, but thinking about the body, mind, spirit relationship with what I have coming up, and I'm thinking about my body first of all. So I've been working out more, which I'm really grateful for because I had a back injury. It was really a root chakra, energetic wonkiness that I moved through a lot of density, a lot of programming, a lot of traumas, a lot of belief systems that were literally causing me pain to where I couldn't bend over, and I was just in a lot of pain. Anyway, all that to say. So I've been working out a lot, and I've been really like in preparation for this trip, because my intention is to do a lot of hiking and a lot of swimming. And to me, if I need the more fit I am, the easier and more fun that is. So there's that. I've also been cleaning up my diet even more. Because over the holidays, it's like, oh yeah, I have more snacky foods and eating less fresh fruit because I like to eat warm things. And although I bake my apples and my pears so that they are warm. Anyway, so really cleaning up what I'm putting in my body, because I know that I am believing that I'm going to eat mostly rice and beans and fruit and vegetables while I'm there. So I don't want to have this like body addiction to like salt, snacky things, packaged stuff. I don't want to deal with going through that like detox, because I've done that detox. I don't want to detox from sugar and all that stuff. So I just decided to clean up my diet even more now, so that when I get there, it'll be like easy peasy lemon squeezy. So now my body feels like really good and it's like so ready. It's interesting. I've been preparing like the physical things, right? Started off with my body, preparing the physical things like someone's going to be staying at my house, so kind of like preparing my house to have a guest and making sure that it's clean enough and accessible and all these things, and getting everything packed. So getting all the laundry done, trying to eat my food that I have in the fridge, trying to just to buy what I need, and packing what I'm going to take, because I would take like protein shakes and stuff like that. I know I said packing twice, but anyway. So, so I have all this like physical stuff that I'm working on. Now, spiritually, I feel like I've already been there. You know, it's like my spirit has already been there because there's no such thing as time. So like my future self has already been there, and my past self was just a dream, and my now self is like taking the action steps to have this experience. I'm so excited. And it's interesting because the thing that I get to really I guess focus on the most is my mind around this trip. So, you know, because I'm always thinking about it, like, oh, I forgot I need to pack this, or I don't need to pack that, or texting my friend that's already down there and like, can I drink the water? Like, because I know in Mexico and Peru, like, you don't want to drink the water. And, you know, like, my mind is always going, right? And I haven't done really that much research on Costa Rica itself. I've done a good bit, but not that much. I mean, before I went to Peru, like, I had books on it. I had books about the culture, like, everything, and I was just, like, eating it up. And this time is really interesting because I'm not doing that. I am, like, intentionally keeping my mind open so that I have no expectations. I don't want to have a vision in my mind and then either like be disappointed, and I also don't want to have a vision in my mind and inadvertently sell myself short by not maybe doing some experiences that would have gifted me a bigger experience. So something else that I find really interesting about this whole like mental aspect of this trip, on top of like, it's really interesting. I noticed that when I share that I'm going, I am met with two different responses. The one, sorry, I needed oxygen, and now I tea. Can you see it? No, but anyway, I put milk in my tea. Almond milk. Anyway, it's really interesting because I feel like, well, no, it's not that I feel, it just is. Half the responses when I tell people that I'm taking this journey are like, yeah, I'm so excited for you. That sounds so fun. Yeah. The other response is like concern or fear. And it's really interesting how that's manifesting. Some people are concerned about, you know, COVID and, you know, how do we get to Costa Rica? How do we get out of Costa Rica? How do we get back into the United States? So those are the researches that I've kind of done. My friends that are down there have done a lot more research and have shared that with me, and I'm really grateful for them. Anyway, and other concerns just about safety and safety from people, safety from spiders, safety from the neighboring countries. I mean, and it's really interesting because I'm really grateful for those reflections of concern and fear, because I get to really anchor into like trust and knowing that like it's fine. Like I'm always taken care of. I'm always divinely guided. Like everything always works out totally in my favor, especially in travel. Whenever I travel, it's like time bends, experiences just happen that are completely out of this world and like super gift style. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm really grateful that people feel safe to voice their concerns. And also I'm just aware that they still have a fear. You know, like that's theirs. They have a fear that I'll get hurt, or a fear that I won't come back, or a fear that that people with rifles. I mean, like, you know, like the fears that people have, and that's fine. You know, people can have their fears, But it's really been nice because I've been anchoring more into trust with everyone's expression of fear. So I share that because oftentimes when we get ready to do something big, take a trip, get into a relationship, leave a relationship, right? Move, quit a job, plastic surgery, I mean, like whenever we're going to do something really big, people have concerns and they will voice them. And it's really interesting because for me, when people have voiced concerns, I've either done like one of two things. I've either totally changed my mind, like I'm going to get out of this relationship, and then someone says, but how are you going to survive? And then I'm like, you're right. I say, you're right. I can't survive. I'll stay in this abusive relationship. Now, they didn't say you can survive. They questioned my ability to survive. So they had a concern, a fear-based concern. Again, nothing is wrong with these fear-based concerns. It's just something that I want to talk about. And then other times people would voice their concern, say, I'm quitting a job. And then some people would be like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do for money? I mean, how are you going to live? How are you going to survive? And so either I would, like I said, I would stay in the relationship, or I'd be like, well, F that. I'm like scared out. I'm peacing out even faster without doing any, building of a net or saving any money. I'm just going to do it because you doubted me. I'm going to buck the system in your mind. So I'm grateful that I'm not in those expressions, like those ends of the spectrum where someone voices a concern and I either like freeze or I go into complete super fast flight and I don't really have an anchor and I don't navigate with clarity. So now I'm in a point where I'm realizing that I'm navigating with so much clarity in my mind. Like, someone was concerned because there's apparently a spider that can kill you in Costa Rica. Now we have them here. We have spiders that will kill us here. And then I just remembered, like for 2 years I had a black widow that lived underneath one of my outdoor, I keep looking because it's like right out that window, and like underneath one of my outdoor table things. And I would go and I would look at her and I'm not going to let her crawl on me. But, other people would freak out because they had so much fear around it. But anyway, so someone reflected back to me this concern that they had about the spider in Costa Rica that can kill you. And I'm like, again, I could have either gone one of two ways, but I was really kind of like proud of myself because I was like, yeah, I've actually thought about these things. Like, and not like really gave it a lot of thought, but they're in my awareness that it's a lot of nature there. Like, yeah, there are all types of animals that could kill me, and like, okay. But it's also like, I have that in my awareness now, right? So like, I might shake out a towel before I use it, in the event that there's little spideys on there and I'll go flying off and not attached to me and kill me. So I'm like really grateful that I've practiced to this point where my mind doesn't loop my actions into another direction. And I want to, because all this ties together with the body, mind, and spirit, because it's the spiritual aspect of the practice of me that I think has really supported my mind. It's like I've done so much neural reprogramming on myself, so much cognitive therapies, so much, and they were really helpful. And it wasn't until I connected to the spiritual part of healing that everything tied together. It's like if my body hurt, I would work on my body. My mind would be, I was a negative self-talker. Okay, well then I would become a neutral self-talker. And then I got into words of affirmation. And that helped a lot. But it wasn't until everything really culminated together in this heart space that I call spirit, It's in all of us. It's this love. Anyway, like, it wasn't until I anchored into that all three of these aspects, this body, mind, and spirit thing, all really work together, so that when someone does voice their concern, I can pause and actually ask me, like, is this a Jane concern? Like, do I need to know about this? Like, is this something that I need to change a decision around? Or is it just like a recognition of, like, oh, that's your fear. Like, thanks for feeling safe enough to voice your fear with me. And I really like that I'm in this position, because one, it's been a process. Like, I was not born into this. Well, maybe I was born into this way, but then I was conditioned as the human here in the United States, and then lost it. So, like, I've reclaimed so much of like this empowered body, mind, and spirit to make really clear decisions, and to also be really open to the unknown. Because I think that spiritual part is key in curiosity. Like, our mind is so able to know what it knows, but we forget that we don't know anything. Like, we really don't. We don't know much. Like, information is infinite. We literally can't hold the infinite in our brain. We hold the infinite in our heart. But we can't hold the infinite intelligence of everything in our mind. Like, we were not built that way. Now, maybe a future version of us are built that way, but we're not built that way right now. I don't think I'd want to be built that way. Anyway, but I forgot what I was even going to say. I was just thinking about having that much knowledge in my head. That would be so intense. Like, for real. Like, do you imagine? To know everything. Anyway, that's what I was going to say. But it's like, I want to know as much as I can know, so that I can be safe, so I can be secure, so I can make decisions that feel good and balanced and in harmony with, like, myself and the earth and community, And I also don't want to know everything. I don't want to have everything planned out. I want to be open to, like, divine guidance. I want to be open to what the universe can show me, and what my heart can lead me to. It's like, I want to go down there I'll be down there for a couple weeks, and I have intentions, and I don't have intentions to do this on this day or that on that day. That's why I'm pre-recording this, because my intention at first was, like, to go down there, do these live like I usually do, and there's some friends of mine that are going with me, and one of them was like, you're really going to do that? Like, you're not just going to take the time off? And I hadn't even thought of that. Like, literally, I didn't even go there in my mind. And when my mind went there, I was like, oh yeah, that feels good. And then I got to thinking, like, oh my God, what if I'm, like, in the jungle and I'm hiking? The last thing I would want to do is be like, oh, I have to go back to hopefully see if the Wi-Fi works, to hop online. I don't want to be on a computer. Like, I don't. I do now, but I don't when I'm doing something like that. Like, in this, like, hey, universe, guide me, but hold on, let me get on my device, right? That's that balance with the body, the mind, and the spirit. Like, this mind is creating, like, me doing this now ahead of time. I'm planning this out. And I'm sharing all this so that we can use these awarenesses, myself included when I rewatch this, to, like, be okay with what I do plan, and be really okay with what I don't plan. And to navigate, like, what do I want compared to what are other people feeding into me? Is it something that I want and I just needed to hear it? Like, when someone was like, why don't you just take the time off? Or is it, someone's fear? Like being able to really have that discernment is something that, it's a practice. Like, it's a practice. For reals practice. But then it's like, that's fantastic, because it's a practice. That means that, like, we're never going to be perfect at it, and we're always going to be expanding in that space of, oh wow, did I just do that because I was just peer pressured and I didn't even realize it would, whatever. Which I haven't really succumbed to peer pressure lately. Ooh, I'm just thinking about all the times I got peer pressured. Like, I can't blame the people, right? They were just doing their whatever, their need to control. um, but man, just thinking about peer pressure and like how it could be handed to me with like on platters of like guilt, you know, shame. Man, and then I wouldn't even know what my mind or heart really wanted me to do because I was just reacting to someone's fear or control. Which, you know, when I really think about it, I think that most of us live a life like that. Like, no matter how oppressed or how privileged your life experience is, if you've grown up, at least in the United States, you've been controlled and manipulated, you know, and guilted and shamed and judged for something. So then when we get to a point where we're like, I'm ready to change my life, or I want to do something different, I want to take a trip, I want to get in this new relationship, I want to try sobriety, I want to try health and wellness, like I want to try to love myself. You know, it's like we have been so controlled that like sometimes those thoughts don't even come into our reality. And when they do come in, sometimes we don't feel like we can do it or that we even deserve to have the beautiful benefits from it. It's kind of nuts, y'all. Like, for reals. But it's, I guess, what we get to move through. And then, like, you know, I have this idea of, you know, I may move to Costa Rica. You know, by the time that you're watching this, I could have found a place to live. I don't even know. I don't know. But, like, I'm, like, that open to what is in the highest good for me and life on earth. And if it's in the highest good for me to move down there, then I'm going to do it. And it's because I've really realized that in a life lived that is just to satisfy other people's fears and control, like, first of all, it isn't a life for me to live. I don't want to live that life anymore. And also, this life that I have to live is just, I only get one shot. Like, I only get one shot in this body. You know, I mean, reincarnation or not, you know, something's going to happen after this body. If you come back into another form, it's not going to be the exact version of who you are now. So it's like, why not? You know, like, why listen to other people's programmed minds and prevent me from living from a place of my heart? You know, it takes a lot of courage. I think it takes a lot of courage. You know, other people may be like, whatever, I do it all the time. But I think generally speaking, to buck the system it takes courage. It takes courage to leave things behind that are comfortable. It's also sometimes courageous to be wherever you are and be comfortable. You know, reminds me of just in yoga, the term santosha means contentment. And can we be in santosha, in contentment, like all the time? You know, I feel like this conversation's looping all over the place, but I feel like y'all are following. I'm kind of following. I am. I'm following myself. I hope I follow myself. I don't want to leave me. Anyway. But yeah, I think it's time that we start to really use discernment and follow our hearts, you know, and to make, I want to say, like, educated decisions. And when I say educated, I don't mean like you have to go to school and you have to be smart enough to fill out these bubbles to prove that you'll have an IQ of whatever, right? Not like that. I mean educated in a way of like having lived experiences, you know, or conversations, or reading books, or watching some YouTube things, you know, checking out the videos on here, you know, like doing whatever that research is and gathering information and data, and then really see what feels good in the body. You know, it's like if I think about having a job that I had to, and I've used this as an example. So if you're watching this and this is one of your jobs, I'm not judging it. I just don't want it. But like sitting in a cube with fluorescent lights, recycled air, 40 plus hours a week, sitting 40 hours a week in that environment with a screen in front of me, taking phone calls all day long. That sounds real craptastic to me. And if that's what I am doing, and I'm dreaming about going to, say, Costa Rica, I'm dreaming about it, and then I go back to my desk, right? Go back to the now of me being miserable. Like, at what point do we just not say, F that? Let me just try, you know, like, and again, that goes back to making educated decisions, right? I don't think I necessarily want to, like, you know, quit my job and, you know, move to a foreign country with $100 in my pocket. And here's the thing about that. People've done that, right? Like, people have moved to the United States with far less, and they have made it. Granted, yes, they struggled. They had their hardships. And I know that, you know, now the value of the dollar compared to 50 years ago, totally different. You know, like, I don't think, yeah, you couldn't move to America right now with $100. Saw someone made a post somewhere, and it showed their groceries that they just got, and they spent $100. And it wasn't that much stuff. It was not much. It was like fruits and vegetables, and it was organic, but it was $100. And then I wonder, like, this is a conversation with Lash, but I wonder, like, how much of that money actually goes to the farmers, you know, and how much goes to the USDA to certify those farmers to be organic. Sit with that one. It's a thing. Anyway. But yeah, it's letting our mind open up to possibilities. You know, not having too many expectations or not having any expectations. You know, hopefully everybody's tuning in and joining Robin, who's facilitating a class around the 4 agreements. One of the agreements, like, don't have expectations. They get you nowhere. And they really close us off to some unlimited cool stuff. But, like, to free our mind, to really open up and be like, anything is possible. And then make an educated decision on where I'm going to move forward to, you know, like what my next step is going to be in the now. You know, it's like, if I move down there, like, I'm not packing up my house right now. I'm not. That would be weird. I'd be jumping the gun, right? I'm also open to selling things in my home right now. But at that point, I'm also like, I want to have more space in here and have more of a minimal life, you know? Anyway, so it's like I can tell that everything's pointing in the direction. And that's another thing. When we let our spirit guide us, you know, our mind will come up with solutions, like things to do that we don't even know is going to support what our future self is going to do. You know, it's kind of like you all of a sudden you get a flat tire and you're like, and so you have to get a new tire, and then they're like, whoa, all your tires are like bad, and you're like, ugh, right? These sound so awful, but you're also kind of like, well, I'm glad they caught it, you know. So then you get all 4 tires, you get new tires, okay, good. And the next thing you know, you get a phone call that's like, hey, let's take a road trip, and you're like, yeah, actually my car's ready. I didn't even know that I was readying my car for this journey, you know. So it's like when we are actually open-minded and not like, no, I'm just going to repair this, or, you know, I don't want to spend the money because I'm in fear, but just making these educated decisions like, well, I need to replace the tire. Well, like, okay, well, I need to replace the fork because they are bald. Making these decisions, having a lot of trust, and letting the heart just be open and the mind open. And in those situations, like in that tire example, like actually having the mindset of like, I wonder where this is going to take me. Like, because whenever anything kind of crappy happens, a flat tire, a client cancels, I have to go into work early, whatever. Like, old me would be like, grumble, grumble. But like now it's kind of like, ooh, what's this going to lead to? Like, I'm so curious, like, because I don't know. I don't know how the end of today is going to be. I have no idea. I know how this now is playing out. So it's like, for me to expect the end of my day to be, check this out, this is a thing. If I have an expectation that today is going to be hard and boring and I'm just going to be at my computer all day. If I have that as like a really big belief system, then I'm not going to even have any inspiration to move my body in any other platform, right? Like, I'm not going to be inspired to even take a walk around the block just to like take a break. And then because of that, then I legitimately will be resisting potential opportunities for me to have fun, for me to have an easier day, Like, if I can tell my mind that anything is possible, and I can still be on the computer all day, I can still work and have a really productive day and do the things that I don't necessarily want to do, I gotta do laundry or whatever. Like, I can still do them and say, and I'm so curious how this day is gonna end, because I have no idea. That's freeing the mind. When we free our mind, we release so many expectations and attachments to results that have not occurred. When we do that, our body literally, first of all, starts to relax, because we're not trying to like control everything, so we're not in like some weird like nervous system response. And when our body's more relaxed, our brain thinks clearer. When our brain thinks clearer, our body's more agile. When our body's more agile, our mind opens up even more. When our mind opens up even more, our body will surprise us by just guiding us where we need to go. And the whole time, spirit is like holding the two together. It's like the glue. And for me, I try to go into the spiritual aspect, the spirit of me. This like, what do you want to do right now? It's like, well, you committed to doing X, Y, and Z today. Cool, I'm still going to do those things. And just, and okay, so if I'm going to do this, well, I'm going to do it with a cup of tea. If I'm going to do this, well, then I'm going to make sure that I take a break every hour for 15 minutes. Or, if I'm deciding that I'm going to, put in a double shift at work, then I'm going to be like, cool, I'm committing to it. I don't know how the day is going to turn out. I'm open to anything. And I'm also going to commit myself to come back to me and maybe take, a couple breaks and like do some stretches and some breath work so that I can like kind of come back to myself and get my energy field like back to me so that I can finish working out this double shift, So all that to say, I am so happy that I get this opportunity to share the process. It's cool because like when you're watching this, you're like literally watching two timelines merge, because I am at a point where I'm like literally like readying to go, and you are watching this while I'm there. So between this what I consider to be now and the now that you're checking this out, there's no telling what is going to happen. That is so fun for me. Like, I could be on a cacao farm when you watch this. I'm really hoping that is accurate. I could be in the ocean. I could be taking a nap. I could be in the jungles right now. I could be on a bus up to Guatemala. I don't even know. I don't know. I could be having some great Wi-Fi and having all my friends sit down and watch us and be like, oh my God, look, we're actually sitting da 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 da. I have no idea. And that makes me doing this even more fun. because I'm like, I just don't have any expectations. So all this to say is like the encouragement is to open your mind, you know, follow your heart. I know this is always the message. Dear God, this is always the message. Have you all noticed that that's like the theme of my life? Hmm. It's so true though. Just free your mind. You know, listen to what other people say. Take it all with a grain of salt. You know, if someone is afraid for you, ask them why. It might be their fears that they're projecting. You know, just be aware. Don't judge them. That's fine. And hold true to your decisions. You know, if it lights you up and makes you like real excited, like in that really good way, like how puppies do that shit, like how they get excited, how I get excited when I see a puppy, oh God. But like if it does that to you, that means it is activating this like recognition of the spirit. It's like you are recognized by you, and it's like, oh my God, look, we see each other. Like if it does that, follow it. Don't let fear stop you. And trust that the outcome is going to be fine. Worst case scenario, what you get to learn lessons. You get to have another experience that was unexpected. Great. That sounds like so much more fun than like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do this from this time to this time, and everything is just going to be scheduled and that does not sound fun for me. And I used to have like extreme obsessive compulsive disorder, like big OCD homie right here. So like the fact that I can go from like extreme control, close-minded, having huge desires to go and travel and do things, and yet too much fear. I just saw a big hawk. Oh. So much fear to even do anything. You know, so OCD that like I would lose so much sleep. Like if that were me now, I don't know. I think I would be having like an actual anxiety attack because my house isn't like perfectly clean. It never is perfectly clean. But the fact that I'm going to have someone stay here and it's not as clean as I want, it's not as organized, and oh my God, and I'm like, no, girl, you need to just pack. That's what you need to do, Jane. You need to make sure that what you have in that suitcase is what you need. That's what's important right now. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, like, to come from that much OCD to this much, like, trust and surrender, y'all, it feels like, oh, I'm getting emotional just feeling, like, how good it feels. Like, that I've gone from so much struggle, mentally so much struggle, emotionally so much struggle, like suicidal, self-loathing, like doing really dumb shit to like numb out, like dissociated from my body for most of my life. Like to go from that to like trusting me and the universe so much that I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it with joy in my heart and love in my heart, and I'm just going to receive whatever it is meant for me. And if I receive more than enough, then that's even better because I know I'll share it. Man, that felt good. Thanks for witnessing that, y'all. I hope that you can look at yourself the same way, like how far you've come. Wherever you are on your path, you've come that far. That's huge. So anyway, I love you all so much, and I hope that you are having a really beautiful right now, wherever you are. I hope that I'm having a beautiful right now whenever you watch this. I'm trusting that I will. I'm so curious. I look so forward to seeing you all when I get back. I will be recording another Body, Mind, Spirit, and it'll be a totally different topic. But know that you're loved, and I look forward to seeing you, okay?